6 months ago, we said that if a black man were to be elected president, we would see pigs fly. Well, 100 days after his installation, we've seen swine flu. And just yesterday, mind that bird. A $9,500 horse won the Kentucky Derby at odds of 50 to 1. If you'd only put your money on the 20 horses running in that race, you'd have won $113 just on that one horse, and it would have been a good investment. So, I mean, it's those kinds of things that can happen. Well, the other thing that you remind me is that when we got talking, I found out you were from Denmark. And I'm a fan of Søren Kierkegaard. And so we talked about Kierkegaard, and I found out that you like Kierkegaard too. And you like Kierkegaard too. And I brought Kierkegaard's book, Purity of Heart, is to will one thing. This is Douglas Steere's first English translation of Kierkegaard's book. And because of my acquaintance with you and having gone to Copenhagen and seen the statue, I went back a second time to the City Museum, and they have reconstructed Kierkegaard's library in the City Museum in Copenhagen. You've got to go and see it, because I have seen the desk where he wrote this book. Yes. And let me share with you then a few words from it. This isolation of man from the flock, from the mass, from the crowd, and the heightening of his consciousness as an individual, which the eternal accomplishes, is a central theme of purity of heart, is to will one thing. Before the quiet gaze of the eternal, there is no hiding place. As individuals, we are what we are before God, and no mass opinion affects this in the least. Kierkegaard believed that his generation was seeking to live in mere time and to make the eternal superfluous. He reminded them of the eternal's power to dissolve away time and to separate the crowd into individuals. In memory